I am sort of unique in that I've been at MITRE for almost 21 years now. So I've had, kind of a whole career here at MITRE. When I look across that work, as Sunil mentioned, I've had some really great, good fortune and opportunities to engage really at a global scale with industry, with government, with security practitioners, all with this common theme. And that's what's really driven me of focusing on, what can we do as a community to advance cybersecurity for everybody? And so it's really that context that kind of led to creating the Center for Threat Informed Defense, eventually bringing me and our team all here together with you all. All right, so what is Threat Informed Defense? When I was leading that department where we were developing and advancing the attack framework, we had a lot of individuals and organizations and security teams reaching out, wanting to collaborate with us, wanting to help scale MITRE ATT&CK, wanting to help sort of improve the knowledge base, but also figure out how to apply it to solve problems. And we needed a name for that. And so we started thinking about that. And really what it boiled down to was using knowledge of adversary behaviors to drive or inform our defenses. Right. And so as we thought through that, we wanted to have that systematic definition of threat informed defense. And as we go here, you'll see that, we started really driven by that kind of operational security perspective through SOC analysts that were trying to figure out how to detect adversary behaviors post-compromise. And as we've gone along, what we've seen is really threat-informed defense fits much more broadly than that like core security operations environment with attack and that perspective of using that knowledge of adversary behaviors to drive defensive improvements. It really kind of expands across much of the NIST cybersecurity framework. And as we go, we're seeing people developing new resources, new product capabilities, new research that really is helping to apply that threat perspective to pretty much all that we do in cybersecurity. And with MITRE ATT&CK kind of at the core of that, enabling communication across all of those teams so that your response team can be talking about the same threats that your red team can be testing in your environment, or that your detection engineers can be writing detections for, right? The thing that's really important to note about threat-informed defense is that it is this continuous process. One of the most frequent questions we get is, well, how do I get started with attack? How do I get started with threat-informed defense? I always guide people to, pick a technique. Go learn about that technique in the attack framework, and then see what you can do to test that technique in your environment, and then work to improve your ability to detect or mitigate that technique in your environment and continue with the next technique. But that cycle is also driven by the changing threat landscape that we all operate within and our changing IT environments. And so with attack at the core, kind of through that cycle, we have the common sort of vocabulary for coordinating our activities. So at the same time, or right around when we released MITRE ATT&CK, David Bianco wrote a blog famous for the Pyramid of Pain. The two together end up really helping us as a whole community shift our focus from kind of chasing vulnerabilities or chasing indicators of compromise towards understanding adversary behaviors and towards trying to increase the most possible cost on the adversary, right? So we're here and we're talking about community working together to build out and advance cybersecurity and threat-informed defense. The attack knowledge base, probably many of you saw, had a release earlier this week. It is entirely community driven. I think it's really important to understand that you all and the whole community plays a critical role in advancing attack and that resource for yourselves and everyone else in the community. Believe we have over 200 individual contributors that have contributed to the attack knowledge base over time to give you kind of that scale. And over a little over 10 years now, we've seen attack grow tremendously with your support. So when I step back and look at threat-informed defense and you kind of put it in the context of the cybersecurity framework, I really see it as kind of a lens that you can apply to really a lot of your security program. And it's fundamentally about taking that perspective of an adversary and applying it to how we improve and advance our cybersecurity programs. So you can use it for thinking about your security posture. And we have some talks coming up later today that will be very much aligned with that. You can use it to think about how you develop and advance your architecture, your operations. Many teams use attack and threat modeling around attack to help guide their security investment strategy. And then, of course, one of my favorite sort of focuses is on that test and evaluation and really understanding the efficacy of your security capabilities based on what adversaries actually do. So we wanted to come up with a way to really scale threat-informed defense so that it wasn't, any single organization or any single company trying to advance this knowledge base of this resource. And so about 4.5 years ago, we launched the Center for Threat-Informed Defense as a way to unite a set of very sophisticated, motivated security teams to come up with really a sustainable, scalable way to work together, to collaborate, to advance not just attack, but resources around attack, applying attack across our security programs. As Sunil said earlier, within the Center for Threat-Informed Defense, our mission is to try to advance the state of the art and the practice in threat-informed defense. And that's what brings us here. And we're so happy to be here because in order to advance threat-informed defense globally, we need to build and unite that global community. So for me, for a little over a year, I've been working to try to get this event to happen. The team at Citi obviously was the enabler that's made that possible for providing the support and the venue here. As Sunil said earlier, please stop by and thank all of the volunteers from Citi that are making this event possible. So recognizing that the challenges we face are generally shared across organizations, they're generally larger than any one single organization, we created this concept called collaborative R&D. And so what we do with our members is we run an innovation pipeline where we're continually having conversations at the breaks, at the networking times, right? Meeting people, talking to people, working with people to understand what are the most pressing challenges and problems, and then working that through this innovation pipeline to turn that into resources that the whole community can benefit from. So I wanted to share one of my favorite kind of recent impact stories. For those of you that were at the training yesterday, you had some exposure to summiting the pyramid and the work that we did there. Rather than spend time kind of telling you what summiting the pyramid is, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the environment we've built and the impact we can have. So summiting the pyramid, my sort of quick elevator pitch is it's an approach to help all detection engineers create more robust detections. Right. So we got to work with some very sophisticated cybersecurity professionals from across 6 different industry organizations to come up with a best overall approach to evaluate and improve detections. Because of the approach we took to doing this, we were able to leverage the knowledge and expertise from several different teams to capture that and create a resource that was fielded in platforms that we all use, the largest operating system out there, that's fielded in cybersecurity capabilities that many of us use and on our endpoints for endpoint detection response, that is delivered at scale that cybersecurity teams are using. I captured a quote here that I thought was, it's really motivating for me. It's why we continue pressing forward with the Center for Threat-Informed Defense. So I was talking to somebody who now uses the summiting the pyramid methodology across their global XDR offering at this global consultancy, right? And if you read that quote there, he was able to come up with this higher fidelity view of his client's security posture than he's ever really been able to do before, and save them a tremendous amount of money and also help them become significantly more effective in their cybersecurity detection capability. At the end of it, it had a incredibly positive and sort of shocking response for them that's made them step back and really rethink how they do detection at this other global company. It's that kind of scale and rapid impact that we can have when we all work together. So working together leads to a more impactful resource. It leads to a resource that people can easily adopt and use, and it leads to resources that can be used at scale. So speaking of scale, when I think about it, what we're really trying to do here is build a community that can scale threat-informed defense globally. So we have our 37 member organizations that are working together to do that systematically. They provide technical expertise, they fund our work, they drive the innovation program. We have 6 benefactors that are contributing financially to support and enable the research, that are funding work on ATT&CK, that are funding work on Caldera. Their contributions and support are critical. And then we also have the global community driving technical contributions to MITRE ATT&CK, helping advance and mature the research products that we create out of our R&D program. It really does take a community to unite and to advance these resources for everyone. And so my call to action for you all was, it takes a village to build out this global threat-informed defense community. You've seen the QR codes and links. I really would encourage you to, follow us on LinkedIn, to get involved. We all have kind of a shared responsibility, as I see it, to work together, to collaborate, to really try to change the game on the adversary. And we all play a critical role in that.